Hey students, it's Ethan Howard here, of course, your favorite instructor again. So, short story here. I recorded this same lecture yesterday and it did not record correctly. And then I recorded it again today and the sound didn't work. So then I went and I laid down on my couch and I cried for a while. And now I am back and recording it for a third time. This will be the best one, I guarantee you. Okay, so we're going to look at how to do some symbolizing. I think we've done a little bit of that, but we'll jump into it again. How to label features, which we have not done yet. And then how to create your very own first layout that you can then export as a PDF and print and put it on your fridge to impress your mom. Okay, so you should already know how to bring in data. So I have brought in the project boundary, the ownership, and the roads. Just need those three things: project boundary, ownership, and roads. And let's do some symbolizing first. So I'm going to right click on my roads. I'm going to zoom to layer. And I need to move my project boundary. Well, I don't need to move it. I need to change the color of it because it's the same color almost as my background. Of course, to change the color, I just click here and I'm going to make it, I will go to properties. I'm going to make it just like a very, very, very light pink. Cute. Kind of looks like an elephant, a little bit. Okay, got that. Now I'm going to symbolize my roads. Now when you're symbolizing polygons like this and line features, you never want to use blue unless it is actually water. So even if your lake is green, you should make it blue on your map. But if you're doing something that's not a lake or not water, you should not use blue. Just always remember that, because the viewer is always going to think when they see something blue that it's going to be water. Another little guideline is don't use orange or red unless it is actually something restricted or something bad, maybe the bad side of a color wheel or color gradient. So, you know, if you're doing a map on diabetes, maybe occurrences of diabetes would be orange or red. But if you're using it something where you want it to, the viewer to have more of a positive outtake from looking at the map, you want to avoid those colors as well. I drink my Pepsi here and then we'll keep going. Okay. We will then right click on FS Roads and go to Symbology, which I think I may have already done, but I'll do it again. Okay. And then over here, it's going to ask you how we want to symbolize. We're going to use not single symbol. We're going to use unique values. And then it asks us which field we want to use to symbolize. We want to symbolize off of the operate field. And then it's automatically going to just generate some symbols here. And now I have mine set to auto apply everything. If yours doesn't automatically change on the map when you do something over here, look down here and see if there's an apply button. I made it so mine will just automatically do it when I do it because I prefer that. But I don't want that to get you guys into hung up. So now go through here and change these symbols. First of all, I'm going to change them. I'm going to click this little arrow. I'm going to change them how they're going to look in the legend. I'm just going to make them these. And then remember, the 1s are the smallest roads and the 5s are the largest roads. So keep that in mind when you're changing the actual symbol. And now in my experience, this goes a lot more smoothly when you listen to something like WASP from the 1980s. So I'm going to do that while I change mine. And if you listen to it while you change yours, I guarantee you success. Ready, go. Okay, so you can see that worked really smoothly because we listened to WASP while we were doing it. And you can now see that that added some context here to my map. I can now tell what the level 1 roads are, what the 2s are. This is a 5 running along here, so I know that's like a major highway. So that helps. And now what if we wanted to label these features? I'm going to show you 2 different ways of doing it. And I'll show you kind of an old school way of doing it, which I still think is almost preferable to me. And then a little bit newer way of doing it. So, one way you can do it is to click on the layer. Left click on the layer so it's highlighted. Go up to the labeling tab. And then you would choose what you wanted to label, which field you wanted to label. And then right here you can click expression. And only, okay, let's just do it. We'll do it. We'll do it this way. Okay, so I'm going to choose ID. So I want to label using the ID field, which will give me a 7-digit number. I want to, now if you wanted to add more than one class, that means you could label like your level 2 roads differently than your level 3s. You can make the labels bigger on the level 3s. To do that, you would just create classes for each one. Now I'm going to go over to the placement. I'm going to click this down arrow here. And I like this water placement, to be honest, the best. You can pick whichever one you want. And then I just click label features. Well, hang on. I don't want to do that yet. I want to tell it. Well, let's just go ahead and do it. I'll show you. Whoa! What a mess. So obviously they're too big. So we will drop them down to like 8. And that does help a little bit. But now let's say I wanted to just show 2s and above. So to do that, I would go over here to this expression button. I click expression. I want to change it at the top here to SQL because we know how to do those. You can use all kinds of programming here. We want to just use SQL. We want to add a new expression. And we want to add a clause. Well, we want first where operate. I want to go is not equal to 1. Okay, so that's going to remove all the 1s. And we then can click apply. And look at that, it cleared them out. So the other way I was going to show you how to do that, and that's a pretty simple way of doing it. It's just easy for me. The reason I don't always do it this way is it's easy for me to forget I have that label expression set. And so I don't always go and remove it if I need to. The other way to do it is to copy this layer. So you'd right click on the layer, copy, and then right click on map and paste. It then creates 2 layers. And you can use the top layer, you can just set the labels on the top layer and then use a definition query to set what you wanted. And then that way you can turn that layer on and off super easy. You can remove it. You don't forget it's there. That's the old school way of doing it, and it's still something I'll do probably actually the majority of the time, just because I'm an old dog, I guess. But there, now you know how to set a label expression as well. You know, a drink here, and we'll move on to creating a layout. All right, so with the layout, what you want to do is you see up here we have one map right now in our project. We want to add a layout that's going to show up here. So we go to Insert, Layout, New Layout. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go with 8.5 by 11, but landscape. And there she be. And then you can set these guides. This is kind of helpful. Is you can add a guide. Right click on this ruler, add a guide. I can put that like 1/2 inch in. There. Then I could add another guide at, let's see, probably about 8. And so then that's just kind of giving me an idea of where I want to put my map on here. And then I could also set another guide over here set it right here at 1/2 inch. And these will not print. So these will not show up on the printing. Okay, so now to add my map, I have to add the map to the layout. Because right now it's just a blank piece of paper. To do that, I don't go to new map, I go to map frame. And then I choose which map I want to add, and of course I want to add this one. And I can bring it pretty close to the top here, and then I just drag the box, lock it to those guides. There's my map. Now you'll see if I want to move this, like say I want to move it up a little bit or zoom in or out, I can't do that. See, it moves the whole thing. So I hit Control V or Control Z to bring it back. It just undoes your last move. So in order to do that, I have to activate this map frame. So to activate it, I have to right click on it and click activate, or the quick way is to just hit Q. You'll see that then grays out everything around it, and then if I move it, it doesn't move the map frame, it moves the things on the map frame. So I can bring my project boundary up there, zoom out a little bit because it was now it's very sensitive zoom, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm going to bring it up there. Okay. Hit Q. Now it's deactivated, so now it won't move on me. And now when you're making a map, there's 7 map elements. You'll need to know this. 7 map elements that you have to have on your map. They are as follows. Number 1, your title. Number 2, a north arrow or a grid that points north. 3 is a scaled bar or scaled text, either one. 4 is a legend. 5 is your name created by you. 6 is the date, and 7 is which spatial reference the data is using. The data are using. So that is everything that should be on the map. There's other things you can add, but those are the required ones for maps. So let's walk through it. The title is supposed to tell us what the map is about. The north arrow obviously tells the viewer which direction is map north. The scale bar is telling the viewer how far everything is on the map. The legend tells the viewer what all the symbols mean on the map. Of course, they might want to know who created the map. And then the date tells us how old the map is. Some maps can become out of date, so that's good to know. And we want the spatial reference because spatial references distort things differently. And so if we have a map that we want to use for distance and direction, but it's using a spatial reference that distorts that, we might want to know that to keep that in mind. So let's add those things. So to add them, we always go to the Insert tab for all of this, and then we go over to North Arrow and choose whichever one you want. I don't want to look at the same map all day long. I'm going to choose one of these like piratey looking ones. And you'll see that the software is going to try to help me like line it up here. And then I just draw a box, and there it is. And you'll see that now when I move it, the software does try to help me line it up, which is awesome. That really helps. Scale bar. I'm going to put mine at the bottom of my map, so I'm wanting one of the ones like this that has the numbers underneath it. You can do this however you want. And then down here underneath my map, I'm going to draw a box for my scale bar. Ew, kilometers, gross. Right click, properties, change that into the actual correct measurement system, which of course would be miles. Come on people, let's go. Miles, 5 miles, good. So now if this had, oh, no, 5.4 miles. Nobody cares how far that is. This is one of the things you have to look out for, is I need to adjust it so that it hits 5 miles on the dot. It's being stubborn. Really stubborn. Sometimes you have to like make it a little narrower. Just see if it'll snap to what you want it to snap to. There we go. Nope. Okay, screw it. I'm just going to go to 10 miles. 4, 9. Okay. And drop it down a little bit so it's not sitting on that. Now let's see, I'll move it up. I'm gonna move my bottom boundary up a little bit. I'm just running out of room down there. I want to delete this. I'll just move the guide up. I'll just delete the guide. I don't use the guides very often, but a lot of people do, so that's why I wanted you guys to see them. And now we can put this down there. Perfect, 10 miles. So you don't want this to be a number that nobody cares about, 11.2, 7, 13. You want it to be like 10, 5, 1, 2, those types of numbers. Okay, and if you want to get really fancy, you can right click on this and go to properties, and you can change the number of divisions and all that it has. I'm trying to make this not super long. So now we can insert a title. So to do that, we just go to the insert, and you can either put it in a box by clicking this one, or just make it a regular title. Maybe I'll try the box. You can do whatever you want. I'm gonna put my title up here. My very first map. Of course it's not, but play along. Shoo, then you can adjust it. And then to change the text here, you can right click on it and go to properties. And then click text symbol. And this is where you can bump it up to like 24, 22. So my very first map, look at that, how nice is that? Now my box is gone. I'm not gonna worry about why it's gone right now, but another way you can actually just draw a regular box around this. And that also will look nice. I'm going to do it that way. That's kind of the older way of doing it, but it still works. So you can click there, find this guy, and draw a box around my title. Look at that. Okay, and now let's add our legend. So we add the legend. I like legend number 6. You can pick whichever one you want. Box. Okay. And now because these are not the actual data, these are just layers pointing to the data, these can have spaces in them. So I'm going to change those so they look better in the legend. And it's a rule, it's a cartography rule that your legend should always be singular. So like this will be out USFS road, not roads. Because that's the symbol for one road. It's not the symbol for many roads. So I'm just going to change the names of these. Okay. And then this one here, I don't like how this says operate right here. Right here. It's just telling us what field it's using. But you can either go in through the legends styles and change that, or you can simply just go over to it over here, click it so you can type in it, and then just delete it and it'll go away. Okay, USFS road, that's looking nice. I don't like this all other values though, so I'm going to go right click on the symbology for my roads, right click, go to symbology. Here where it says all other values, I'm just going to right click on that and remove it. All right, so remember though, those roads are still in the table, the all other values ones. I'm just not showing them on my map. I did not do a definition query. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And then to do your name and your Date and spatial reference, you would just click the A and then add them down here, same way. But to get the spatial reference, you just you right click on the map, go to Properties, Coordinate System, and then it says it right here. So it's using NAD 1983 and NAD 19. So we got a couple layers and different things here, but we want this one called NAD 1983 Albers. That's what most of the things are in. NAD 1983 Albers. So that's what you put for the spatial reference. And you just add it to the text down there by your name. And one last thing is if we wanted to put a logo here, all that's doing is going to Insert, and then you choose Picture. And then find the picture that you want to add. So I'm going to go down to my FS logo.png. So these PNGs are nice. You don't lose quality when you make them bigger or larger, so they're preferred. But you can use JPEGs. Click OK, and then draw a box. Again, it's going to help me draw that box. There's my logo. I can then shrink it down here. Okay. And now don't make, if you're printing this out at like 34 by 48, don't make these too large. That's one of my pet peeves is when they have a huge north arrow on a large printed map. Remember how large things are going to print. This is going to print fine because it's going to be 8.5 by 11. You just don't want the focus of your map to be your north arrow. I see that a lot. So we've got our title, our legend, our north arrow, our scale bar. We put a logo in. You guys can put your name, the date, and the spatial reference in there. So you have some extra things to do. Don't use the exact same colors and symbols I did because I want to see something new. I want you guys to do it on your own. One more thing we're going to add though. Sorry, I almost forgot. Do this. Make sure you do this. We're going to add another map. So I'm going to add a rectangle. I can't believe I forgot because this is almost the coolest part. I'm going to add the rectangle right here. That's why I moved it up there. I'm going to change it. Go to Symbol. Make it white, not clear. And now I'm going to add a second map in here that shows where this map is in the Forest Service ownership. So to do that, I go to Insert, and then New Map. And then I can name this new map over here. So this is where it says Map 1 here. I can name it Indicator Map. And then I can uncheck these. I don't really care about these. And then I can add to my indicator map, I'm going to add my FS ownership. Add to current map. I'm going to give it a nice color. That's not a good color. I want to make it green. Make it a very, very, very light green. Pretty good. And then for ownership, it's usually good to drop the outline. So I drop the outline to 0. That's because a lot of times roads will border the outlines, and then it's hard to tell what a road is and what's an actual just boundary. So we tend to drop the outlines. And now if you look, go back to your layout right here. I can then add that ownership map to my layout. Go back to Insert. Now we're doing inserting a map frame. And we want to do our indicator map. And then we can make a box. Right here. And we can then right click on underneath indicator map over here. We can right click on FS ownership and zoom to layer. There it is. And now here's the coolest part. Hold on to your socks because they're about to get knocked off. Here we go. If we go up to Insert and we'll make sure you've got your indicator map. Click that first, left click indicator map. Go up to insert, go over to extent indicator, hit the drop down and add to map frame, and look at that. It creates a box for where this is looking. So that's telling us right now our project boundary is right in there. Very cool. Very, very cool stuff. Okay, so now to get your points for when I tell you the assignment's due, is go to share and then click export layout, and you can either choose flattened or georeferenced. Georeference just means it has the geospatial metadata behind it embedded in the PDF. So if you were to add it to your GPS unit, you would then be able to see where you were on it. So it's not a big difference for this. You can choose either one. And then it's going to ask you where you want to save it. Make sure you know where it's going. Right here at the folder, give it a name. It's going to be a PDF, and then you will attach that to an email and send me that. And it shouldn't look exactly like mine. So don't think you're clever by just screenshotting mine and sending it to me. You got to add some more things to it. Change the colors a little bit to how you like them. You can make it look however you want. Just make sure it's all on there. And thank you guys, and I hope you have a great week. And I'll see you in the next exercise. Laters on the Menjay.
Laters on the Menjay.